Hello and welcome to the next episode of 1016. Before we resume where we left off, in case anyone did not see my previous video, I do want to give trigger warnings for themes of possessiveness, religion, or religious trauma, and death. This may be upsetting to some people who find that religion is a sensitive subject for them, or who find that different interpretations of religion is something that they find upsetting. I just wanted to state that before we proceed. Alright, there we go. He had opened a page towards the end of the book. It was decorated in a border of twigs and birds painted in neutral matte colors. The most peculiar part was the oval-shaped hole in the middle of the page. Dorian placed the book on the table. Sorry. He then placed the locket in the hole. It fit perfectly. I looked at his face, admiring the way his eyebrows knitted and lips parted in concentration. When we close that, and all we do now is wait. Oh, sorry, we then close that, and all we do now is wait. He used the chain on the locket as a bookmark before he closed the book shut. What does it do? I'll write out your life story for me. Or it'll write out your life story for me, all on one page. We just need to give it a few minutes. Can I interest you in more tea? I think I'm alright, thank you. Let me finish this cup. Alright? Dorian stood up, taking his cup and returning to the corner where he had originally made the tea. I looked down at the liquid swirling in my cup. When I glanced back up, Dorian was staring at me with a soft expression on his face. Dorian? Huh? Oh, apologies. He turned away from me and began rummaging around in the drawers. Okay, so we can ask about the staring or ask Dorian about himself. These choices. I think it speaks volumes to how interesting the game is that I'm having such a hard time choosing, because I always want to ask both. I'm going to ask him about the staring. Why were you staring at me like that? I was making sure you wouldn't touch the book while it was processing. Not that I don't trust you. Of course you don't trust us. You just met us, Dorian. It's just happened before. Most people who make it to my circle end up dying in it. Oh, good to know. He'd mentioned this before, but he was being so careful with me. And so had everyone else. How many people do you say you get per year trying to convince Satan? About 1 to 4% of those who try. And the other keepers of the high circles kill the rest? Sometimes they end the suffering of the poor soul before they're humiliated by Satan on the bottom floor. Other times, a rogue demon or beast gets them. They might even succumb just from the hellish scenery and atmosphere. Then how come no one's tried to do that to me? All I've done was appear and explain my situation, and everyone has led me to their elevators with no malicious intent. Perhaps they really believe you. We're going to press him further. I don't think you're telling the truth. I am the master of small falsehoods. Anything can be a lie. I want you to tell me the truth, Dorian. How do you know that's not the truth? If you don't tell me the truth, I'll leave this room, find an exit, and walk right into the ash storm. Well, I don't know that was the best route for us to take, because there's no telling, that he's not already trying to kill us. Dorian turned to face me, a soft sparkle in his mismatched eyes. It's because I asked them to. What? I asked them to be gentle with you. I paused. My hands fell into my lap and my eyes focused less on Dorian and more on the row of books behind him. Why me? Did you know it was me, or did you just want one's soul to not fall to waste? Does it matter? Tell me, it does. Or sorry, to me it does. Will the answer change how you feel about me? Oh god. It depends on what the answer is, bro. Like, um, you know? I can't say whether it will or whether it won't. It depends on what the answer is. God, I'm so scared of a bad ending after the trauma of playing um Parasite in Love. Okay, yeah, okay, I already saved. Um, we'll say no for now. It was because it was you. We were interrupted by birds chirping. Dorian walked back over to me and gently placed his hand on the book, tracing the corner stitching with his finger. It's ready. Dorian opened the book and picked it up, hiding most of his face behind the pages. Every so often, he looked back up at me, eyes full of either delight or curiosity. He'd nod as if to confirm something, or some unsaid suspicion. I glanced to the window. The storm seemed to still be raging with no end in sight. Have you found anything yet? I think so. It's something overarching, but I can pull out a specific moment. Do you remember that nearby church you volunteered to work with to help serve food for those who were underprivileged? Yes. It was cold that day in January. I underdressed and I was shivering. There were birds and squirrels outside peering in on us through the church windows. They'd started with a sermon before we were allowed to serve food, so they brought up the story of the feeding of the 5,000. Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitudes 20. So they all ate and were filled, and they took up 12 baskets full of the fragrance that remained. Now those who have eaten were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Matthew 14:19, 12, 21. I think I laughed at that. Really? Because he's summoning on endless amounts of bread, basically. How is that possible? I understood what the passage was saying, to make use of what you have, but I didn't take it literally. There's lots of absurdities in the text. Silly things, annoying things, things that don't make sense. It's like how we think of Greek and Roman mythology nowadays. Less that it really happened, more like a fable. I think of Ambrose Bierce in a more modern context. So you take a lot of what's in your text as lessons rather than fact? Yes, so do I. And I think that's what the issue is. You don't take it literally, and that's heresy. Oh. Before I could have any sort of reaction, Dorian continued. It's unfair, isn't it, to be curious, to question what you're reading or what you're being told? To think some things are too big, too fantastic for the mediocre world we live in. And to be punished in the end for questioning someone. Lucifer fell because he questioned God. What's to say he isn't doing you some favor right now? Or what's to say he isn't doing the same to you right now? Someone who has been a devout, loyal follower, despite never seeing his face. That's such an innocent sin, though, isn't it? It's human nature. That's part of why we must forgive and repent, because we're flawed. But why is that a bad thing? No one should expect someone as wonderful as you to be perfect all the time, because you're perfect in your own right. What are you saying? I have a question for you. Do you still want to go down? Do you still want to face Satan? He will reject you, you know. Even if he believes in you, you know what your creator would say. He'll cast you right back down here. And it will have to be here. Do you want to go through the effort only to humiliate and reject? Or only to be humiliated and rejected? I'd hate to see that on you, Nicole. I really would. But it's your own decision. If you stay here, I will take care of you. I will tell you everything you want to know. If you decide to still go down, I will make sure the keepers of those circles treat you with kindness and lead you to Satan safely. Then, if you are rejected, I will welcome you with open arms. What if I'm not? I don't think you'll make it to the paradise you wanted to go to. Because in truth, it's not as fantastic as they make it up to be. But, as I said, it's your decision. Oh. I feel like this is a trap, guys. I don't know. Like I said, I'm so paranoid now. For now, let's go to the next circle, or let's at least try. I'm not sure if he'll actually let us, or if he's just, filling our head with pretty little lies. But we'll see. I think I'm going to try. It can't hurt to try and see what happens. And if I come back, then I come back. If that is your choice, follow me. He led me out of the room and back into the hallway. The elevator has always been in the building? Yes, it has. Why I didn't say that earlier isn't for you to know. We walked for maybe 10 minutes, past paintings and shelves and ancient artifacts. He stopped at any unsuspecting shelf, where all books were the same color. Thorin pulled on one book and the shelves opened outward to reveal a modern elevator. This will take you down to violence, the seventh circle. Oh, great. Just let them know I allowed you down. They'll know what to do. I pressed the button labeled 7. Dorian raised one hand and waved it shyly, like he wasn't sure if he should. Good luck down there, Nicole. Thank you, Dorian. He had kept eye contact until the elevator had closed completely. I began traveling downwards. I didn't know how long it would take, and I wasn't sure how to process my emotions along the way. I just had to hope he was telling the truth. Okay, that's the end. That is ending 5, sent to my doom, back crying in your arms. Okay. So let's go back and let's see what happens if we choose to stay with him. I grabbed one of the hands clasped around the other. A soft sound of surprise comes from his mouth. I want to stay. It's nice here, and you've been very loving to me. Loving in a way I've never felt before, never understood. And if what you're saying is true, then what's the point in even trying? He smiled, and even through the bars of the muzzle, it was bright. Yes, you're right. It's fantastic here with you. I could never ask for anyone else to spend my time with. Would you like to explore the other wings now? I have so much to show you. Oh God. He held my hand and dragged me through the halls of the library, full of forbidden falsehoods. The whole time he was smiling, eyes lit up with stars, despite the darkened sclera and sunken irises. He didn't tell me yet why he was so infatuated with me, why exactly things had transpired the way they had. I knew he would, though, eventually. Ending 3. Some things are best in the shadows of secrecy. Okay. So let's see what happens if we tell me yes, your answer is going to change the way I feel about you. Then you will find out on your own. We were interrupted by a bird's chirping. Doreen walked back over to me and gently placed his hand on the book. Have we already read this? Okay, yeah. So we've gotten that ending. Okay. let's start a whole new game and just do all the other answers that we haven't done up until this point. Because I do want to find out more about him. This game is really interesting to me. Like I said, I am not really religious, so I don't find any of it offensive. I find it very intriguing. I wish it were longer. That's the one thing I will say, but that just that just speaks to the the tension and the intrigue and how well it's crafted in this. Okay, so let's fast forward. Okay, let's ask about the fires this time. Why do some of the tombs have fires blazing within them? You're curious. I like that. We watched the fire in a nearby hole, dug deep into the ground, letting out exhaust and smoke which drizzled into the air. Have you ever read Dante? It's good fan fiction, the poetry he wrote. He wrote something about the heretics who come to my circle, that they would be burning for eternity in tombs. That's not the whole truth, not anymore at least. I did not like their agony or their screams as they burned, even when I removed their throats. Instead, I burned what I need out of them to add to my archives in the library. In the flames were bones, buried deep into the false earth. They looked thinned. Their lies, their false teachings, whatever I do not already know, and then I let their souls wander until they die from a lack of purpose. Jesus, that's so grim. Okay. You collect heresy? Sure, among other things, because why not? Or maybe it's because I like to collect pretty things. But enough of that. Okay, I'm still gonna try to take his hand this time. And then after this, we'll do a playthrough where I still want to try to say that's understandable, because we're gonna do this playthrough asking different questions, but still sort of being nice to him. And then the next playthrough, we're gonna be much more standoffish. Let's say I didn't want to accept you this time, or we could say because I trust you. Yeah, let's say because I trust you. Let's play the fool this route and see what happens. Despite what I am, you trust me? I feel that if you wanted to kill me, you would have tried by now, but you've been only kind to me in the ash. Dorian smiled. You're so innocent. It's cute. Okay. Let's try not reading the letter this time. It's rude to read someone else's mail. I placed the letter on top of my new pile and waited for Dorian. Thank you. Anything for you, Nicole. You are a guest in my home. If you need anything else, please let me know, okay? How kind of him. It was his choice to bring me to heaven, and this is his test. His choice? Everything is, isn't it? I think this is why I like you so much. Huh? You're so innocent, so naive. You think a god would kill you violently and then send you down to what he considers the pits, the tombs, the depths? That he would abandon you like this? I told you it's a test for entry into the heavens. Revelation 21:4. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. And there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. For the former things are passed away. Conflict is what drives the human species. It's what drives innovation and love. If you had an eternity in paradise, would you want to do anything? Think about any desires you had as a mortal. All those things you wished to do before you died. Travel, fall in love, make something worthy of remembering, learn something new, leave an impact. Okay, so this is new. Um, okay, this is the playing the route of the fool, so we'll agree. Heaven might be boring, it might be scary. I don't know at the end of the day. No matter how much we read, how much we pray, we don't really know. That is true. Do you ever wonder if your pastor's interpretations, or maybe your own, of the holy text could be wrong? It's like an English class. There's only there's an interpretation that your professor may project. There's an interpretation which stems from a context of the time and place which it was written. There's an interpretation directly from the author. Then there's your interpretation, O darling fallen. Dorian, can I ask you something? You can ask me anything. You push this idea that heaven is a boring place. Is that the same for hell? For someone who isn't suffering? Only the truly wicked suffer. But it takes up too many resources to make an exponential amount of souls suffer for eternity. We may have eternity, but we like to make things quick. It's not exactly what I'm trying to ask. Are you bored down here? Bored? I wouldn't say so. I have lots of work to do. Bodies to burn, people to release, books to catalog. Sometimes, they allow me to look up upon the human world and watch the living before they fall into the circles. I cut him off. Are you lonely? Huh? I haven't seen anyone else here except for you. You must get lonely with no one to talk to. He did not respond for a few moments. He may have seemed like he was looking at me, but instead, he was looking through me. I suppose I do get lonely. I have friends, other demons mostly, who come to visit and assist. But they leave. They have to. They have other obligations, and they have themselves to worry about. I just wish that. He swallowed and closed his eyes. Never mind. We have more pressing things to worry about. So that's interesting. That was like a whole portion of dialogue that we never got the first time. Can I ask you some questions? I'm an open book, Nicole. Okay, so we can say, when did you die? Are you lonely? Are you allowed to leave? Well, we just asked him if he was lonely, right? But I mean, he may give us a different answer this time. Let's ask him if he's lonely and see if we get a different answer. And if he gives us the same answer, I'll reload and ask if he's allowed to leave. You asked that earlier. I know. Why? God. Well, this is the route of the fool, so we'll see, because I want to fix that. He stopped what he was doing. A heavy sigh rippled from his throat, and he refused to look at me. And how could you fix that? By staying here with you. You don't want to do that, Nicole. That's interesting, because at least with the last couple endings we got, he asked us to stay with him. Here in Heresy, it's cold, and you would have to put up with me for eternity. It's not very enjoyable. It's not enjoyable because you've never had anyone to enjoy it with. It seemed he considered what I said. His head hung, presumably to look at his hands. We were interrupted by a bird chirping. Okay, so that's... Oh, this is new! I couldn't take it anymore. I came to the mortal world as a bird to observe those following of faith I came to detest. That's the first time I saw you. I didn't know what it was about you, but you caught my eye in a way no soul ever has. And so, every so often, I visited you as a raven outside your window, whether it be in a holy place or in the confines of your home. I knew your beliefs and I knew you. and you were fantastic. But I knew you would have to come down here eventually, because you were so uniquely you. Frankly, I was selfish. I could have waited for you to die much, much later. Oh my god, he's the one who killed us? But I wanted to see you now. And I thought that if you lived your whole life only to be sent to hell for being human, it would be worse for you. So I killed you. I was the bird that flew out of the spire and caused you to fall. I didn't mean for you to die like that. But that's how it happened. And you came down here to me after I asked everyone above to be nice to you, just so you wouldn't die to their hunger. And here you are, looking as beautiful as you've ever been. And I haven't been able to stop looking at you ever since. I've kept my composure, but I want to be with you like this forever. Dorian hugged me, arms tight around my body. No words were able to come from my mouth. I couldn't process anything. Was I in shock? Disbelief? Was I feeling the same? Or was I feeling differently? How had he done all of this, just for someone like me? I felt his gloved hand wipe at a liquid trailing down my face. Was I crying? He pressed his forehead against mine, his head tilted slightly due to the muzzle forced on his visage. His pinky finger found its way around mine, holding onto it tightly. That must be what this picture is. It's okay, Nicole. You don't have to say anything. I already know that you feel the same way I do, and you want to stay. And even if you don't, we have an eternity to figure it out. He smiled warmly, perhaps for the first time since we had met in Heresy's circle. And whether by compulsion or true feelings, I couldn't help but smile as well. I love you, Nicole. Ending 4. A confession of personal sin can be a loving release. Okay. Huh. So he's the one who killed us so that we could, I guess be down here with him? Okay. Yes, let's skip the intro, please. I'm just trying to... So let's ask about the fires again. Gosh. There are so many ways that this can play out. Let's be distant this time. I declined the hand and instead stood next to him. Stay close to me. It's not going to kill you. Or it's not going to kill you, but it'll get in your lungs and ruin your clothes. Okay. Let's try that's because you're not human. You're a creature born of malice and evil. You could never understand the grace and the warmth of the church. Dorian laughed, covering his mouth with his hand. Was it to feign politeness? You're funny, Nicole. What would you say if I told you I was human at one point, a long, long time ago? I guess it makes sense. Even Satan was once an angel. And all these years later, he still has the beauty of one. You'll learn, oh sweet fallen. Okay, let's follow him instead. I don't think I'll get lost if I stay near by you, right? You won't. But the halls of the library can get cold. It helps preserve some objects. I just don't want you to freeze before you hit the 9th circle. Are you trying to flirt with me? All he did was smile. Okay, so we've been... Go. This is new. He grabbed for the knob. This is one of my many office spots. Oh. Okay, so let's snoop and read the letter this time. Let's ask about the other letters. What's in the other letters? I won't read any of those, but I'm curious, like you said. I do a pen pal system throughout the circles and to other regions. Other regions? Only human beings who believe what you believe are sent here once they succumb. There are other afterlives. And there are societies for the inhuman in between doors. Okay. go with that one, because we're trying to be distant this time around. To answer his questions. Called the heresy. But isn't that a heresy? That God and his heaven would be boring? How do you know? How do you know that he isn't, Nicole? Have you been there? Have you met souls who have come back from such a paradise? Part of what makes heaven so great is that God is there. Ah, do you think he's going to play dollhouse with you? Oh, darling Nicole, it's so lovely to see you here with me and the other millions of people I've led astray. I can be the daddy, and you can be the mommy, and everyone else can be our children and our dogs. See, if I was there, I'd try to kill you myself again. Why am I even sitting here and talking to you? Because you can't leave, Nicole. There's a storm raging outside, and your soul will corrode before you even attempt to get your warped idea of paradise. I'm sorry, I can't stop. Berating you and your beliefs is not what I'm here to do. This guy was getting on my last nerves. Oh, we can walk out or say nothing. Well, let's try and walk out and see what happens. I'm just going to find the elevator myself. Is that your decision? Yes, if you insist. He snapped his fingers, and I heard the sound of metal in the distance. Did you lock the doors? I unlocked them. You can go to the right, walk for 2 minutes until you see a sign that said 19th wing, and then make another right. There will be a door that you can exit through. But know this. While you begin to perish, with dust in your eyes and ash in your lungs, dragging your body down, I will be there to carry you back to the Church of Forbidden Knowledge. I left without another look or another word. I didn't know how long I had been walking through the thick clouds of ash. My legs were on the verge of giving out. Ash stuck to my skin like dead cells. My eyes were growing heavy. Through my limited sight, I saw no signs of the elevator to the next floor. Was it even out here? Well, we know it's not from the other ending. I didn't know, I couldn't think. I was coughing up too much dust to think straight. And eventually I fell to the ground. My back was against the dirt and my head was facing the sky, burdened by the embers of burning tomes. The Lord was not going to save me here. I was going to die again in the exact same position. Except this time, I would be without the sticky clumps of blood which clung to my skin. I closed my eyes and tried my best to drown it all out, to drown out the sound of dust and birds. You should have listened. I couldn't react with the heavy feeling in my body, like rocks under my skin that were weighing me down. Arms wrapped around my body and pulled me into the air. I was being held, no, cradled, in them. And we were walking. He was walking with his back against the storm. What am I going to do with you, Nicole? I'll fix you right up and start over, maybe. For the first time since I had met him, he hesitated. Truly hesitated. I'll worry about that later. I opened one of my eyes to look at Dorian. Instead, all I saw was a bird, flying into the storm. I closed it again and melted into the cold of Heresy's master. Ending 1. No matter how much I scrub at my tongue, the taste of blood remains. So we only have one ending left to get, and that's, I believe, ending 2. Skip the intro. Okay, let's ask about the fires again. Let's take his hand this time. That's understandable. Take his hand. I didn't want to upset you. Dorian laughed, eyes closed. Did you think I'd hurt for you not holding my hand? I didn't even incite that I wanted you to hold it. It was just a sign of beckoning, reaching out to venture in deeper. Really? Perhaps, but I don't mind. A blush settled against his cheeks. I certainly don't mind. Okay. So, let's read the letter. Asks to see the collection. Say thank you. Answers questions. Agree. Ask Dorian about himself. Okay. Let's ask if he's allowed to leave. You've made it seem like you can't. I can for short periods of time. I typically just visit other demons. A friend of mine runs an art gallery, another's a musician, and a good friend of mine runs a bar. What about the physical world? Like where you came from? I can travel there. My time spent must be shorter. And I must manifest as something else. Like an animal. Yes. Okay. Okay, so let's load that back up and let's ask, when did you die? Within the 1st century CE. I was burned alive for leading some Roman lambs astray. I had a lot of thoughts on how the world should work. I've always thought religion was selfish. People do good deeds to seem like good people, good enough to achieve paradise. I thought good deeds should be done because you want to be a good person. You want to help your fellow man, not to gain something in the end. I had other thoughts, that the man on everyone's lips was just another preacher, that we are in control of ourselves. It's why my realm is tomes of fire and ash. Are you still upset? About dying? No. I was never upset. The only thing I'm upset about is I can't. He stopped himself, both in his words and in his body. Never mind. Was he trying to say I can't kill? Okay, I'm going to see if there's any sort of walkthrough. No, there's not. See, that's the thing about playing these games for submitted for the Yandere Jam. They're very new, so most of them don't have like walkthroughs or anything. Okay. This is probably going to be the last time I play through this. I do not need to eat. I do not need to sleep. Not anymore, at least. That sounds miserable. My work is never finished. Will never be finished. But enough of that. Okay. Let's be distant this time around as well. Let's call out the nickname. Ask him about himself. Guess we'll ask if he's lonely again. Oh, this is different because we're distant this time. What does it matter to you? Do you care for a demon all of a sudden? Okay. So I'm guessing this is going to lead us to the last ending. Let's save. Oof. I don't know what to say here. Let's go with the top one first. Let's go with yes. Really? Yes. We're supposed to be compassionate, even for those in darkness. I won't say I'm in darkness. I'm constantly surrounded by burning tombs. Really funny, Dorian. I could tell he was smiling in the corner. Okay. Let's try staying with him. Okay, let's load that back up and see what happens if we say no. Then why did you ask? I don't know. To make conversation? He mumbled something that I couldn't hear under his breath. Okay. Was he mad at me? Even if I've been watching you all these years, I'm now unsure of what to think. I thought this could work out. Would you like to know something, Nicole? The elevator has been inside my library this whole time. A small grin formed behind the muzzle. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Because I wanted to talk to you. He pulled the locket out of the book and placed it in my hand. But I think I'm done now. Would you like to go to the next floor? I'll escort you. Before I could react, he grabbed my wrist, fingertips pressing into my skin. Ow! Don't resist, dear Fallen. And so, Dorian pulled me out of the room and back into the echoing halls of the building. Wait! Whatever I yelled at him was going in one ear and out the other. I tried stopping and beating against his hand, but it wouldn't budge. He was dragging me like a doll. When we reached a bookshelf with only green books, Dorian grabbed a random one off the third shelf from the top. The shelves parted open, and they revealed a single elevator of modern design. Dorian threw me into the elevator, my head clattered against the back wall, sending a ringing through my ears. The next circle will not be as kind to you as I have been. The lakes of blood and the bodies within them will drown you in their anger. All I can do is wish you luck. Wait. I reached my hand out and started moving towards the elevator's open door. But without another word, Dorian began to walk away, and the door closed on me. The elevator began traveling down, and I had no time to process what just happened or what was to come. I looked at the locket, clasped my fingers around its metal. I closed my eyes and breathed a shaky sigh. I feared he was right, that I would die in the circle of violence without a hand to guide me down. Ending 2, not everything is beautiful as I expected it. Is as beautiful as I expected it to be. Okay, that is all the endings for this game. I really enjoyed that, I'm not gonna lie. Dorian was a really intriguing character. I also found the game to be very atmospheric. I like that he wasn't personally violent with the MC. That's sort of a pet peeve of mine in Yandere games. I like for the Yanderes to have certain tendencies, but I don't enjoy a whole lot of violence against the main character. And I like that even though it was definitely suggested that he like especially in that last ending that he was sort of leading her to an unfortunate fate. It wasn't something that was depicted on screen, and it wasn't something that he did directly to her. So yeah, you guys will have to let me know what you think. This is definitely one of my favorite games submitted to the Otame Jam so far, I have to say. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. So I think that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.